Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In the time of the prophet Moses, in a distant land, hidden from the sight of ordinary people, there lived a people known as the Jabbarun. They were giants with towering heights of up to 22 meters, their bodies as sturdy as mountains, and their voices booming like thunder in the sky. This people inhabited a fertile and luxurious land, located in a region known as the land of Canaan, a land promised to the children of Israel by God. However, the Jabirun were not creatures who obeyed God. They were arrogant and cruel, looked down on ordinary people, and oppressed anyone who dared to approach their territory. They believed that because of their extraordinary size and strength, they were invincible and could rule the world. The territory of the Jabbarun, or the land they inhabited, was a place rich with clear river water, giant trees bearing abundant fruit, and green grasslands as far as the eye could see. Their palaces were built of huge stones that could not be lifted by ordinary humans, while their city gates were made of giant tree logs that could only be cut down with a large axe that was as big as an adult human. In the middle of their land stood Mount Azarkan, where the leaders of Jabarun held meetings. At the top of the mountain was the giant descent stone, a giant black stone that was believed to be the origin of their ancestors. This stone became a symbol of their strength and was guarded tightly by the strongest soldiers. Prophet Moses and the children of Israel approached the land of Jabarun. After years of wandering in the desert, Prophet Moses and the children of Israel finally arrived at the border of the Promised Land, namely the land of Canaan. They had heard about the land from previous prophets, that the land was a fertile and prosperous place, intended for those who obeyed Allah. However, when they sent 12 spies to see the land, they returned with pale faces and full of fear. "O Musa, in that land there are giants. They are Jabbarun, creatures who are so big and strong. It is impossible for us to defeat them," said one of the spies. Hearing this, most of the children of Israel became afraid and began to doubt. They were afraid to face such a big and strong creature. However, among them there were two brave people, namely Yusha bin Nun and Caleb bin Yufana. "Don't be afraid. If Allah is with us, then nothing can defeat us. Enter that land, and Allah will help us," they both exclaimed with full confidence. However, most of the children of Israel remained afraid and refused to move forward. They even said to Prophet Musa, "Go with your God and fight them. We will stay here." Because of their fear and unwillingness, Allah punished the children of Israel by making them lost in the desert for 40 years, until the fearful generation was replaced by a braver and more faithful generation. Meanwhile, the Jabbarun became increasingly arrogant. They laughed at the fears of ordinary people and even began to attack small tribes around their territory. Every time they won, they took them captive and made them slaves. However, their arrogance reached its peak when they said, "Who can match us? Even the sky cannot bring us down." Allah was angry with their arrogance. Suddenly, in one night, the sky became dark, lightning flashed incessantly, and the ground began to shake. The mighty Jabbarun people began to feel something they had never felt before: fear. Suddenly, from Mount Azarkan, a thunderous voice was heard, "O arrogant people, you think that nothing can destroy you? Witness your destruction." Suddenly, the mountain collapsed, causing giant rocks to roll down and fall on their cities. A great earthquake occurred, splitting the ground beneath them. Some of them sank into the earth, while others were crushed by the rocks falling from the sky. So in one night, the arrogant Jabbarun disappeared from the face of the earth. Their once glorious land was now a wasteland, left in ruin as a lesson for those who came after them. This story teaches us that pride is the beginning of destruction. No matter how big or strong a person or a people is, if they forget Allah and act arrogantly, then their destruction is only a matter of time. Allah says in the Quran, "And how many peoples before them have we destroyed, even though they were greater in strength than these? And they roamed the lands. Is there any place for them to escape?" Quran Surah, Qaf 36. That was the end of the Jabbarun people, a giant people who once shook the earth with their arrogance, but were ultimately destroyed without a trace. Traces of the Jabbarun people left behind. Although the Jabbarun people were wiped out in one night, the ruins of their legacy remain as a sign of their former greatness. The cities they once built are now ruins scattered in various places. Giant stones that used to be the walls of their palaces now lie haphazardly, buried in dust and sand blown by the wind. People who pass through the former land of Jabarun feel an aura of eerie silence. It is as if the land still holds the remnants of the horror of their destruction. Some travelers who dare to enter the area even claim to see giant footprints left in the ground, proof that these extraordinary creatures once existed. However, no one dares to stay there for long. The wind blowing among the ruins sounds like faint whispers, as if telling the fate of a people who were once so strong but were destroyed by their own arrogance. The children of Israel and their victory, after 40 years lost in the desert, a new generation of the children of Israel finally returned to the borders of the Promised Land. Led by Yusha bin Nun, they were now stronger and more faithful, ready to seize the land that had been promised to them. When they arrived in the former land of the Jabbarun, they no longer found the terrifying giants that their ancestors had told them about. All that remained were empty, collapsed cities. They realized that Allah had destroyed the arrogant people before they had to take up arms. This is the promise of Allah, that this land will belong to the believers, not the arrogant and oppressive people, Yusha bin Nun told his people. With Allah's permission, they settled in the land and made it their new home. The land that was once ruled by giants is now home to the faithful. The mystery of the Jabarun. Do they still exist? Although the Jabarun people were destroyed, some stories passed down from generation to generation mention that not all of them perished. It is said that a small number of them managed to escape to hidden places far from the reach of ordinary humans. According to some stories, in deep caves and remote mountains, some have seen the shadow of a large figure walking in the distance. There is even a legend that says that in the vast and untouched desert, there are still giants waiting for the time to return. Are they still there, or have they really disappeared? No one knows for sure. What is clear is that the story of the Jabarun people lives on in human memory as a lesson that there is no power greater than the power of God. And if they still exist somewhere, hidden in the shadows, perhaps one day the world will be shocked again by their earth-shaking footsteps.